In the world of magic, a lot of magicians will say, this particular magician performs tricks. However, this particular magician performs magic. What are they talking about? I mean, what's the difference between tricks and magic? Why am I saying magic like that? Magic. It's because magic is way better than tricks. Because if you're doing a trick, you're just being a trickster, you're fooling people. But if you're performing magic, you're truly doing something that's mind-boggling and astonishing. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about what separates the good from the great. And in the world of magic, what separates the good from the great is self-awareness. Now, the same thing applies in the world of entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurs that do well are the entrepreneurs that are self-aware. And you'll find that in the world of communication, it's the exact same thing. Those communicators who are masterful, they are more self-aware. Now, there's a device that magicians use, and the device is this thing right here. Now, to the untrained eye, it can just look like a black pad. However, if you open this pad up, it's actually a three-way mirror. And if you look at me here, what you're going to start to notice is I use this particular pad to practice close-up magic. I use it to practice sleight of hand. And what I'm doing here is I'm building self-awareness on what people see all around me. This is how magicians are able to perform magic instead of tricks. Now, what separates it is simply this. A magician that performs tricks, the reason it's tricks is because people can kind of see behind the methodology. Oh, I saw you hide the card in your palm there. Oh, it's just a trick. Whereas magicians who perform magic, people see nothing. It's performed flawlessly. And the only reason they're able to do that is because they build self-awareness. And they use this particular device to help them build self-awareness. So for the longest time, I wanted to create like a kind of three-way mirror for my communication students. However, I didn't know how until I came up with record and review. So the process is called record and review. And this is a very simple process. The first part of the process is you've got to film a 5-minute video. You've got to film a 5-minute video of yourself speaking. Now, when you're doing this, I'm quite specific with it. So make sure you do it standing up and make sure you just do it on your phone. And when you're doing this, talk about your day, talk about your favorite food, talk about something that you're passionate about. The content is not that critical. What's more critical is your delivery. That's what we're recording and we're reviewing right now. Once you've got the 5-minute video, now we're going to review it in 3 different ways. But make sure you get a whole 5 minutes. Don't just talk for a minute and go, oh, that's enough. No, no, no. Go for the full 5. The first time you review it, you want to get your phone, turn the sound all the way up, press play, turn your phone around so you can't see yourself, and then just listen. Because here you're doing an auditory review. So just listen. And then listen out for the foundations. How was my rate of speech? Did I get stuck to a default rate of speech that after a while became monotonous even though it started as being very engaging? Take notes. Now you have self-awareness on this. Now you understand the value of rate of speech. Did you slow down on the important parts? And then did you just speed up over the bits that weren't as important? Did you do this? How about your volume? What was your default volume? Was it too quiet? Or were you too loud? Take notes. Build extreme self-awareness. Pitch variety. How about tonality? Did it sound like you had emotion in your voice? Did you pause? And as you write down these notes, what you're doing again is you're building that self-awareness muscle. Okay, now the second time you review it, this time, grab your phone. However, this time put your phone on mute. Then press play, just look at yourself. Because the second time we review it, here you're doing a visual review. Just look at yourself. And because you're standing, you can start to take a few notes. Are you kind of swaying from one side to one side for no apparent reason? And then apply the golden rule. Do you remember the golden rule? If this distracts people from the message, then it's a problem and you've got to stop it. So obviously this is distracting, isn't it? It's kind of like I'm a clock. Tick tock, tick tock. Now here's the thing. For a second there, I felt like I was doing a children's show. Maybe this is a children's show. But what I'm talking about here is start to review your visual. Are you moving your hands too much? Are you pacing around for no reason? What are you doing with your hands? Are they behind your back? Are you folding them? Are they in your pocket? What are you doing? Is it distracting people from the message? And start to build self-awareness. And I promise you, Most people have never done this before. So when they do this, they learn so much. You realize there are things that you do that you weren't even aware of. This is like looking into a mirror in the morning when we are dressing ourselves. I mean, every morning when we wake up, we dress ourselves in the mirror. Maybe we do our hair. And you've got to realize that when's the last time you looked into a communication mirror? What if there's metaphorically been something stuck in your teeth for the last 30 years? And because you've never looked into a communication mirror, you've never taken that bit of green thing out, and it's distracting people every single time you talk to them. This is a very valuable process for you to go through. Okay, so now you reviewed the auditory and the visual. You should have a bunch of notes, things you want to work on. Now, the third time we review it, this time you don't watch it and you don't listen to it. You intrigued yet? This time, get the video transcribed. Get it transcribed. Get the video transcribed. Now, when you get the video transcribed, they always have this option that they ask, would you like us to leave in your non-words? Would you like us to leave in your filler words? Tick and tick. Yes and yes, please, leave them in. Because when you get the video transcribed now, print it out, then you get a red highlighter, not a green like I have here, get a red highlighter and then highlight all of your non-words and all of your filler words. Bring them to the forefront of your mind. Become extremely aware of what your non-words and filler words are. Because remember, from the foundation section, these decrease the clarity of your message. It robs you of credibility and takes the authority away from you. Now, I wasn't aware of a filler word that I developed as I was teaching more virtually online. Because I don't get the confirmation from the students and confirmation from the audience via the auditory sounds that sometimes audiences can make, when I was teaching virtually, I developed the filler word, okay. And I said it kind of like Mr. Mackey from South Park. I'd be teaching and I'd be like, all right, everyone, make sure you film a 5-minute video. Okay. And then make sure you check the auditory. Okay. And then make sure you check the visual. Okay. And I kept doing it. It wasn't quite as dramatic as that, but I kept saying okay because I was seeking that confirmation from the audience. Make sure you go through this process and you'll be shocked to find that maybe you have a filler word that you weren't even aware of that's decreasing the clarity of your message. I have students sending me messages time and time again, week in and week out, telling me how valuable this process is and how they wish they did it earlier. My friends, once and for all, it's time to look into the communication mirror to build self-awareness on our vocal and visual image, to basically see what other people are seeing. And then from that, you have, again, a list of things to work on. So that the next question that people naturally ask is, then what do I work on first? How do I know which one to work on first? And the simple answer is, it doesn't matter. You can choose whichever one you like. It's okay. This is a long journey. It's not just like we're going to fix one thing. We're gradually going to get to everything. So what you want to do is the following. Once you do this, you now have a list of things you want to work on. Let's say, for example, you notice that your default volume that you often use was quite low, and it was about a 2 or a 3 out of 10. So then for the whole of the next 7 days after you've done this process, all I want you to focus on for the next week is just upping your volume. Don't overdo it by telling yourself, oh, I've got to fix my volume, my tonality. I've got to stop folding my arms. I've also got to make sure I stop pacing. And I've got to make sure I stop using the word and ah. And I've also got to stop using the word like. That's too much. If you try to do all of that at once, you end up doing none of it. Just focus on one thing at a time. So for the next 7 days, all you focus on is pushing your volume a lot higher. And it's also not about trying to go from a 2 volume to like a 9 volume. Just kind of go from a 2 to a 5. If this is where you naturally live, just try to push it up a little bit more so you're here. Don't push yourself too far. One step at a time. One step at a time. Otherwise, you overwhelm yourself. You overwhelm yourself. I'm going to throw you to an audience experience now. This is an activity that I normally take my audiences through to show them the importance of... I'm not going to tell you. This is an extremely profound activity, if I might say so myself. So check this out, and I'm just going to engage now in a quite a creative transition. So let me grab the corners of the video and drag it through so you can check this out. You see, I'd love to share with you an exercise. Difficult to do with 3,000 people, but we're going to do it. I'd love you all to stand, please, if you don't mind. It's good for blood flow at this point. Thank you. Please do stand. As you're all standing in this room, I'd like you to face a partner if you can. Face a partner or groups of threes. Face a partner or groups of threes. And have a good look at your partners, have a good look at them, and then turn your backs before it gets awkward. Just turn your backs before it gets slightly awkward. And with your backs turned, here is your challenge. I'd like you all to change 33 things about your appearance. Go. No, just kidding. I'd like you all to change one thing about your appearance. One thing. Don't let them hear it, don't let them feel it, just change one thing. One thing. You got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Face your partners. What did they change? Face your partners. What did they change? All right, turn your backs again. Now with your backs turned, here is your second challenge. Okay, your second challenge, I'd like you to change one more thing. But, wait. Change one more thing, but if your partner didn't notice what you changed, please be more dramatic. Obviously, don't take off your clothes, obviously, please don't do that. But please change one more thing. 3, 2, 1. Face your partners. What did they change? Very good. Now let me ask you this. My high school teacher did this with my class. And when she did this with my class, right at the end of the exercise, she says, "Right, you lot, anything is possible in life." And we're like, "What? Miss Beecham's on drugs?" And then she said the most profound thing. And I'm borrowing her words at this point. Borrowing her words. She said, as I'll say to all of you, right in the beginning when I asked all of you in this room to change 33 things about your appearance, how did you feel? I felt like you couldn't do it. It felt impossible. Remember, it's just an illusion, impossible. But you felt like you couldn't do it, and there was a mental block, and you didn't even try. You kind of just looked at me and went, "Ah," and you all kind of did this slight wobble. That's the universal sign for giving up. And then let me ask you another question. How did you then feel when I asked you to change one thing about your appearance? How did you feel? Oh, it's easy. There was no mental block. And all of a sudden, you just went ahead, you changed one thing. Some of you even had fun. And let me ask you this. How did you then feel when I asked you to change one more thing? How did you feel? Oh, I got this. Oh, this is easy. You didn't think about it. You just, again, having a good time now. You just changed one more thing, and again, some of us had more fun. I promise you, if I had more time and I wanted to bore you to death, I could have stood up here and said, change one more thing, change one more thing, change one more thing, times 33. Every single one of you would have changed 33 things about your appearance, whether you initially believed it couldn't be done or not. So what does that tell us about the impossible? All we have to do is take things one step at a time. And push it back. Damn it. This is... You know, it does look like I'm faking it, but truly it's actually quite heavy. It's not video editing. I'm literally pushing a video off screen. So you just gotta push it. There we go. Wasn't that a powerful exercise? It shows you the value of just taking things one step at a time. Because often when we're trying to change all these different things about how we currently communicate, you're immediately gonna feel overwhelmed. And what happens when you feel overwhelmed, what quickly follows that is you go, "Oh, this is just all too much. I feel lost now. I don't know where to start." Often people say they feel lost, but you're actually not lost. You're just overwhelmed. So remember, as you go through record and review, write a list of things that you want to work on, and then just pick one thing to work on at a time. I'm just going to say it over and over again. One step at a time. 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 One step at a time.
One step at a time.
One step at a time. One step at a time.